Hello YouTube, it's Sean from Shaunators Hockey, and yes, we are finally at January 2026, a new year. What's going to happen with the Sens, I hear you say? Well, let's find out together, shall we? I was absolutely dreading recording this video, in all honesty, because the month is an absolute dumpster fire for the Sens. Bad results, bad vibes online, rumours being spread, and just general bad luck in front of goal, coming up against hot goaltenders, and just really, really bad performances. But sprinkle in there signs of progression, and also the signing of a veteran netminder to help balance things out between the pipes. The Sens would see a steady rise towards the end of the month. Now, I'm hoping to have also obtained some footage whilst out on a walk, because for any Sens fan, this month is likely to make you feel incredibly down, so maybe the sound of the waves will bring you some happiness and a bit of calm to your life, as we are now well into February. This video was recorded just after the Olympics finished, and congratulations to Team USA, and a classy gesture holding up Johnny Gaudreau's jersey at the end there. Really, really great show from the Americans there. Thoroughly enjoyed the Olympics, and I delayed this video off using the Olympics as an excuse because I feared recording this video. But anyway, let's find out how the Sens did in January 2026. Also, to delay me talking about the Sens January 2026 a little more, don't forget to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages, where we show content for the Ottawa Senators across many different genres, from cards, form, team news, and general goings on around the organisation. Feel free to follow us on there as well. And let's get on with the video. So the Sens would start off the month playing the Washington Capitals, and it would be a really slow start, seeing them drop to an early 2-goal deficit. Goals from Tom Wilson and Dylan Strome for the Washington Capitals would see them stretch out to an early lead. However, the Sens would come back with 2 huge points as they came away with the win on the night. Thomas Chabot bore the receipt from Justin Sourdif for an earlier Artem Zub coming together with Alexei Protas. Board collision early in the first period. Protas went awkwardly into the boards after he and Artem Zub collided, racing for the puck. Protas was slow to get up and left the game, but returned later in that period. The first period chippiness then continued when Senators defenseman Thomas Chabot was taken down hard by Justin Sourdif. He was involved all over the place for the Capitals. And then Drake Batherson, yes, Drake Batherson, everyone, would drop the gloves with Sourdif himself. Minutes later, with the Senators forward taking part in his 3rd career fight. The Sens would then cancel out the Capitals' opening goals to overcome the 2-0 first period deficit. Nick Jensen would cut the lead to 1, scoring against his former team, with Ridley Gregg levelling things with 28 seconds left in the second period. David Perron would put the Sens 3-2 up early in the 3rd period, but Alexei Protas, yep, him again, would level things with a little over a minute to play. With the Sens desperate in front of their home fans to get the win and the 2 points, Fabian Zetterlund notched his 10th goal of the season off a Chabot pass. Tim Stützle would also extend his point streak in this one with a secondary assist on the winner. A huge relief all in, to be honest, in this one. The Sens gave up way too many chances early on, being outshot 16-6 in the first period alone. Thankfully, they managed to improve throughout the game. Was this a sign of roots maybe starting to appear for performances being better from here on out? Next up, we went on to Winnipeg, where Thomas Chabot would explode offensively with 2 goals on the night, taking part in the game in a bubble due to all the cuts and bruises he picked up against Washington. The Sens would again concede early to the Winnipeg Jets, but then they stormed back with 3 unanswered goals, 2 from Thomas Chabot and 1 from Drake Batherson, who wouldn't have a fight in this one. Late in the second period, after his goal, Chabot also took a puck off the face and Tanner Pearson's clearing attempt. This man is just absolutely inundated with injuries around the early January form. It's unreal. I did put up a post which received a little bit of love on Instagram of the Thomas Chabot face painting kit for kids available at Halloween. Please check out your local costume shops to buy those. So it would result in Thomas Chabot wearing a bubble for the rest of the game. Kyle Connor would pull a goal back for the Jets, but Claude Giroux would kill off the game with 4:32 remaining in the 3rd. Eventful night for the captain as well. Brady Tkachuk would tangle with Logan Stanley in front of the Winnipeg bench. Stanley pulled off Tkachuk's helmet and sucker punched him. Stanley received a double minor. Tkachuk also received a 10-minute misconduct. Great performance on the night from the Sens, up against one of the best goaltenders in the league in Connor Hellebuck. Levi Merilainen played great between the pipes, finishing with a .913 save percentage, making 21 saves. The Sens would then head on to Motor City to play the Detroit Red Wings, where they would fall 5-3. The Red Wings jumped to a 3-0 lead in the first period with goals from Andrew Kopp, Dylan Larkin and also James Van Riemsdyk. Crazy to think he's still playing in the league. It really felt like they let this one slip away, Ottawa, in the first period. They were done at the end of that. They would, however, come back and score 3 goals in this one. Nick Cousin had a goal waved offside. It was a really, really good challenge, actually, from the Detroit bench for this one. That would have really, really changed momentum for Ottawa, because at that time when Cousin scored, they looked like that they were really starting to bring it offensively. In the second period, the Sens started to battle back with goals from Claude Giroux, Dylan Cousins cutting the deficit to 1, but Lucas Raymond restored the 2-goal lead for Detroit. Brady would then bring the team back within 1, and the comeback attempt was thwarted when the Senators, on the power play, gave up a crucial short-handed goal to Michael Rasmussen, sealing a 5-3 victory for Detroit. John Gibson was solid for the Wings on the night with a 921 save percentage. Levi Merilainen was pulled after his positive display in the former against the Jets, having allowed 3 goals and just 8 shots. Hunter Shepherd would come in relief, but the damage, to be honest, had already been done by then. The only plus side for this night was Tim Stützle extending his point streak to 13 games. Let's rub this one off then, shall we? The Sens would then move on to Utah, and they would play the Mammoth, and again, another loss, 3-1 this time. Brady Tkachuk looked angry most of the night and disheartened at times. It did feel at this time that he was sort of trying to hold back, obviously with the Olympics on the horizon, but let's not throw those stones. But it did come across as that. It just didn't feel like he put a shift in. It wasn't just Brady. Tim Stützle, Michael Amadio, Tyler Cleven and Claude Giroux also showed a lot of anger on the night, and it's just stuff that you don't really see an awful lot from this Sens team, even though how bad they've been pretty much over the last 5 years. It really sort of came to head in this one. It was really noticeable. So many shots from the Sens, 34 for them in fact. Karel Vermelka was absolutely unreal with a 970 save percentage on the night. At around about this time during the Mammoth game, a lot of people were actually talking about the actual goaltending for the Sens, but to be honest, we were passing up way too many opportunities. Just against the Mammoth alone, Shane Pinto was stonewalled a good few times, and also general shots from the actual attacking lines for the Sens. We were just getting stonewalled everywhere. There was nothing we could really do in this one. You can only be as good as the amount of goals you score. And if you're going to let in goals up the other end, well, to be fair, yeah, it is partially to do with goaltending. But as a team, you've really got to start putting these chances away. And it did sort of show in this one. The Sens absolutely peppered Vermelka with chances during this one, but they just never got anywhere. Lawson Krause would then add a goal at 3:59 in the first period, and Dan Marino scored off of a rebound at 7:20 to help the Mammoth jump out to an early 2-goal lead. Ridley Gregg scored through the crowd with 2:19 left in the opening period to give the Sens some hope. Amazing stat actually for Gregg doing this one, in that he's scored in all 4 games he's played against Utah, which is impressive. When you look at where he actually plays in the Sens line, he was a real utility player for the Sens during January, playing up and down the line and looking really, really good, to be honest. Daniel Boot made it 3-1 to Utah at 5:41 left in the third with a scramble in front of the goal. This one would actually survive a video review for goalie interference, which in all honesty was a real long shot, as the puck was never under control from Merilainen. Another shaky performance from Merilainen in this one, to be honest. It was also announced during this game that the Winter Classic for 2027 will be heading to Utah at the University of Utah's football stadium. So congratulations to Utah. Always loved the Winter Classic and all the memories it holds for me. So on the 8th of January, I put a post up on the Ottawa Senators European fan page, and it was purely just to gauge interest in what people would have thought. Sounds like Matt Sogard was going to be thrown in against the Colorado Avalanche in the following game, which, to be fair, did happen. We'll touch on that in a minute. And just because Ullmark had been on a leave of absence from the team, I threw out there a few names in Laurent Brossoit, James Reimer, Sam Montembeau, Capo Kakkonen, whose name I've probably just butchered there, to be honest. Just a few names of goalies that were known to be sort of available. Sadly, Laurent Brossoit went off the market literally the next day to the San Jose Sharks. He was traded from the Chicago Blackhawks. And it'll be interesting to see how he does, because I actually think he's a pretty decent goaltender. From stuff that I've seen of him and sort of hear on him, he's just had a terrible luck with injuries, to be honest. Played in the AHL more than he has in the NHL. But it was interesting because we got a real debate going in the comments, and a lot of people were basically saying, yeah, we do need to get a third goaltender. And a lot of people took the guy they would eventually go on to sign a few days later. Reimer would go on to sign with the Sens on a PTO for the AHL team, and then that would go on to be converted to NHL contract at league minimum in the next weeks after his conditioning stint. The news would actually break during the stream in the third period of the next game against the Colorado Avalanche, and that was an absolute show from the Sens, which would see Mads Søgaard get pulled in relief for Levi Meriläinen early in the game. Reimer was a strong addition for the Sens. I'm only touching on it now. He's going to figure later on in the month review, so I thought I'd just get a quick sort of summary of him in this video. The Sens obviously signed him. He's an aging veteran goaltender, but to be fair, his record in the league spoke for itself. 2.89 goals against with a 910 save percentage in 525 games split between the Maple Leafs, Florida Panthers, San Jose Sharks, Carolina Hurricanes, Detroit Red Wings, the Buffalo Sabres and the Ducks. So he's obviously seen some buildings, and he often said how much he enjoyed playing in Ottawa when he was against them. Of course he would say that. He's just signed a new contract with a team. So anyway, let's get on to the next game. It was purely just a shameless plug for my Ottawa Senators fan page there. So again, go and check it out, guys, see what you think, and join the conversation there. But the Sens would then go on to an absolutely demolition job up against the Colorado Avalanche. The only plus that came out of this game for me personally was the fact that they announced during the game that they had signed Reimer, which is just absolutely crazy and really shows how much confidence you've got in your goaltending tandem, in all honesty. Was massively impressed with Josh Manson from the Colorado Avalanche against the Sens. Like I said, they would absolutely do a demolition job on the Sens, winning 8-2. He was absolutely everywhere on the ice. 2 goals, 2 assists, a fight against Tyler Cleven in the first period, which Tyler got owned in, to be fair. It was a little bit embarrassing actually watching him fight. Manson was just absolutely everywhere. The Gordie Howe hat-trick. A lot of respect for players like that, even against the Sens. What can you do? The Colorado Avalanche would actually tie a franchise record in this with 6 goals in the second. 6 goals! Unbelievable. Last time they would do that was in 2019 against Nashville. But Brock Nelson added 2 goals. Nathan McKinnon, Kel McCarr, Mason Natchez and Brent Burns also scored. Shane Pinto would score along with Brady Tkachuk for the Sens. The momentum really switched Colorado's way following a successful challenge on a Fabian Zetland goal in the second period that would have made it 3-2 on the night. The goal really appeared to deflate the Sens and would allow Colorado to absolutely dominate, and I mean dominate, the Sens on the night. I think I even put in my post, my God, this team. What is going on? Rumours around the team. It's turning into a complete mess of a season. And again, the only plus point I said during this game was seeing the Sens signing a player, a veteran player, to a PTO in the third period during the actual stream. That's how bad things had gotten. They actually had to cover the fact that the Sens had signed a player during the game. Absolutely shocking things. The next day, Reimer would sign. Professionally sign his contract and start his AHL affiliation, a conditioning stint, and we would just go from there. The next game was against the Florida Panthers as they fell again. I was really hoping to say that we would win this one. Really strange to say against the defending champions team, but I had this one down as an Ottawa win on the night. This skid at this time was getting unbelievable. All the Atlantic teams were starting to pull away, and things were really starting to look awful at the time for us. At this point, the Senators had then lost 4 straight games. Donovan Sabrango returned after being claimed on waivers by the Panthers. He played just over 9 minutes in the game, but it was nice to see him back. Ottawa opened the scoring after 4 minutes in the games where Zetland took the puck behind the net. He would then put in a shot on Bobrovsky, sharp angle, and the puck would bounce off his blocker and roll down across the goal line. Giroux would also score to bring it back to 3-2 later in the game, but that was all she wrote. Levi Meriläinen finished with 18 saves while allowing 3 goals on 4 straight games. Not great stuff, to be fair, but a new signing, guys, a new signing. So So, at this time it was confirmed that the actual AHL conditioning stint, after 3 days technically, would be converted into a full-time contract. He started skating with the Sens on the 12th of January. And also it was announced that Linus Ullmark was back skating as well on the 13th of January. So the Sens would then go on to play the Vancouver Canucks. And surely we would get a win against the worst team in the NHL, in my opinion. They just look awful at the moment. And yes, they would. They would finally win a game again. After 4 straight losses, they won 2-1. Artem Zub would read the team sheet out in the locker room before the game and would then go on to score the opener. And Jordan Spence would then add another strike for the Sens. 15 seconds later, Merryleinen had a solid game, to be fair. Just after the signing was announced of Reimer, he started to turn it around. He made a few saves early on, looking a little bit shaky, but then he got into his groove, and 18 saves on the night snapped a 4-game losing streak for the Sens. Elias Pettersson would score a goal off of an ugly Dylan Cousins turnaway. Those bloody turnovers, gotta hate those. But yes, massive shout out to Canucks netminder Kevin Lankinen. Also stopped 38 shots on the night and was the reason that the score stayed close. He made some breathtaking saves on the night, but there was also goal line clearances off of both Brady Tkachuk and Dylan Cousins. Yeah, absolutely insane. But the Sens would then head on to play the New York Rangers, and one of our most complete performances. I don't know whether it's because it was at Madison Square Garden, but the Sens would run out a crushing 8-4 victory against the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden, which saw the home team getting booed profusely by the home fans. We've been there, we've done that. Not this season, last season as well. The season before that as well. So, yeah, we've had those games. But anyway, the Sens would hand the New York Rangers their 5th consecutive loss. And as I said, they were heavily booed after this one. On the night, the Sens would break a franchise record. They scored 4 in a period for the first time in their 33-season franchise history. Brady Tkachuk also bagged his 200th regular season goal, which is pretty impressive. He also added a further 3 assists. He was joined on the score sheet by Drake Batherson, Dylan Cousins, David Perron, Nick Jensen, Jake Sanderson, Thomas Chabot and Tim Stützle, who added an empty net at the end of the game. Jonathan Quick allowed 6 goals on 17 shots before getting the mercy pool and relieved by Spencer Martin for the Rangers. Levi Merryleinen made his 9th consecutive start in Linus Ullmark's absence, had 18 saves and allowed goals to Gabe Perreault and 1 apiece to Noah Laba and Alexis Lafreniere. Great performances on the ice from Jake Sanderson. He was impressive. He was all over the place. He just makes things look effortless out there. And also, one of the unsung heroes from the last few games have been Ridley Gregg, who had 3 assists on the night. And there was a +2 overall. I think he's just been absolutely brilliant at stages this season, and he has stepped up. Linus would then be seen at the Sensplex as he came back skating, which was the sign of good things, with both Sens form and also players returning, amidst controversy, which we'll touch on at the end of this video, and also improved form. So, the Sens would then go and play the Montreal Canadiens, where they would go down 6-5 to the Canadiens in overtime. Montreal got out to an early start, one of the most common things against the Sens this year. They would be up 2-0 literally from the off, with Slavkovsky and Caulfield both scoring. The Senators started the second period with a 2-man advantage. Tkachuk would score his 10th of the season, just 42 seconds in on that power play. Tim Stützle also had a highlight reel goal, going top shelf on Samuel Montembeault, a player that I'd actually spoke about earlier on the season the Sens should have looked at, as he went between his legs, and an absolute unreal goal, to be honest, on the night. It's one of the best ones I've seen Stützle score. Anderson made it 3-2 to the Canadiens, but Dylan Cousins equalised for the Senators shortly after with a gritty goal. Looked like things would remain that until the second intermission, until 1:36 remained and Artem Zub fired a shot inside the blue line, and it went off Perron's skate in the crease and gave Ottawa its first lead of the game. Jake Sanderson, who also had 3 assists on the night, would give the Senators what appeared to be an insurance marker, as he scored his 10th with 7:55 left in the third, beating Montembeault short side to give the Senators a 5-3 lead. It all looks so promising at that point. Trailing 5-3, Montreal pulled the goaltender and got within one at 4:24 remaining when Sakowski tipped in a Lane Hudson shot, and Alex Carrier tied the game 65 seconds later as he beat Levo Merrilainen glove side. Josh Anderson also had a goal and assist for the Canadiens on the night. Caulfield would then take it into OT, and after 33 seconds, he would give the Canadiens the 6-5 win with an amazing come-behind victory against the Sens. A great game. Even as a Sens fan, it was highly entertaining. Levo Merrilainen stopped 13 out of 19 shots. So yeah, the goaltending was just about to get a shake-up as James Reimer would soon be making his bow for the team. In fact, he would come in against the Detroit Red Wings in the next game, and they would lose again in OT. But yeah, it wasn't a bad showing, to be fair, from Reimer. Night that saw Patrick Kane honoured for his 500th goal before puck drop. What a player he is. Absolutely loved Patrick Kane. Some absolute highlight reel goals when we're talking about Tim Stutzel's goal in the last game. Absolutely incredible player. The Sens took a 2-0 lead with a goal just after 5 minutes in the game. The Sens would shoot to a 2-0 early lead. Just 5 minutes into the game, Drake Batherson scored on a rebound. Dylan Cousins also converted off of a feed from Brady Tkachuk during a power play. The Wings would then level it up and actually take the lead 3-2 on the night, but then Shane Pinto would equalise the game going into the third. Ridley Gregg got incredibly lucky with a minor penalty midway through the second period, as deliberate off-the-puck contact, especially when it's blindsided to the head. And to be fair, he took a needless minor high-sticking penalty against Lucas Raymond, but it should have been more, in my opinion. Really dirty hit from Ridley Gregg. He's still got that in his game. I gave him a bit of praise earlier on for his play for the Sens this season so far, but yeah, he really lost a little bit of he lost some brownie points for me there in that one. James Reimer looked decent for the Sens' debut. He stopped 30 out of 34 shots, looked really sharp, especially in the second. We soaked up a lot of pressure prior to Lucas Raymond notching the equaliser for the Wings. Axel Sandin Pellica, Lucas Raymond and James Van Riemsdyk would all score on the night for the Sens. And of course, who else but Alex DeBrincat would score to give the Red Wings a win 36 seconds into OT. Really, really hate seeing DeBrincat score against the Sens. It never sits well with me what that guy set us back with, having to trade him off for peanuts, really. But hey-ho, that's how it goes, I suppose, isn't it? The Sens would then move on to the Columbus Blue Jackets and get a convincing 4-1 win. James Reimer made another start for the Sens, 2 back-to-back, as he made his season bow for the Sens. He made 21 saves on the night for his first win in 278 days. How crazy. Tyler Cleven opened the scoring on a well-timed screen shot to beat Blue Jackets goaltender Elvis Merzlikins up high. This goal would be cancelled out by Sean Monahan, who scored for the Blue Jackets, with Tim Stützle giving the Sens a 2-1 lead into the first intermission. Merzlikins would actually leave the game after the first 20, and he would be relieved by Jet Greaves. Apparently it was due to illness. After a scoreless second period, Ridley Gregg gave Ottawa an insurance goal on the rush, and Brady Tkachuk added an empty netter on the night, which would give the Sens the 4-1 victory. A really strong performance, which saw James Reimer record a .955 save percentage on 22 shots. Also great performances from Nick Jensen, who stopped the puck crossing the line following a Reimer save. Ridley Gregg, Jake Sanderson and Thomas Chabot also had great games. 4 points out of the last 3 games made Sens fans think, is the tide turning? The cut-off mark would be set around 97 points at this time to get into the playoffs, which would mean the Sens needing to win 23 more games this season. In this season, to be fair, no one seems to be moving in the Atlantic Division. It sort of seems to be staying very stale. So at this point, it's still up for grabs. Any team that wants to get into the playoffs via the wild card. But as the month rolled on, things would start to tighten up a bit. So any goodwill to the team, and also thinking that we were turning a corner, that was eroded, completely gone. They would move on to the Nashville Predators, and in a shocking third period, see the Sens not only hang James Reimer out to dry, but also a shocking performance all in. I think I even said on that Facebook page that someone needs to tell the Sens there's 3 periods in a game. The Sens shot out early to a 3-0 lead. Stephen Halliday scoring his first goal, Ridley Gregg and Dylan Cousins all scoring. They were looking absolutely in control until Steven Stamkos scored a hat-trick, and Jonathan Marchessault and Cole Smith added an empty netter. 5 unanswered goals in just an absolute insane game. Bad penalties, judgments, defensive decisions really sunk the Sens. and it was just a really, really bad performance. A lot of the Sens players went missing during the game. Drake Batherson, Thomas Chabot, Shane Pinto, Claude Giroux were pretty much invisible all night, even when they were at 3-0. January was super annoyed watching this game on the night, and it did make me start to rethink, do I need to watch this team live every game? And since then I have actually curtailed it slightly because it's one of those games that I normally would have knocked off for the third period thinking, oh, we got this one in the bag. If I'd woken up and saw they'd lost 5-3, I would have genuinely been questioning my sanity to actually stay up and sort of, you can't leave this team for a second. It seems sometimes, but generally super annoyed watching this game. The fact that I saw it through, should have knocked it off after the second, and just been heavily upset and annoyed at work the next day. Jesse Serafs looked strong, to be fair. He made 23 saves and helped Nashville to end a 3-game losing streak, and James Reimer made his 3rd straight start, stopping 21 shots. One plus side on this was Roman Josi playing his 1000th game. He's a great player, even though we had the problem earlier on the season with Brady Tkachuk. I do appreciate Roman Josi. I think he's a solid player, and it's a player that I would love the Sens to have all day long on the team. But the Sens would then move on to play the Carolina Hurricanes, and they would fall 4-1 to the Hurricanes in another questionable performance. William Carrier, Seth Jarvis, Tyler Hall scored first period goals for the Hurricanes, and Andrei Svechnikov would add a 4th for the team. Tim Stützle got the lone goal for the Sens. What I really want to touch on this is the goaltender for the Hurricanes, Brandon Bussey. Wow, 35 saves on the night. Just absolutely unreal. Hats off to this guy. It could have been anyone's on waivers during the beginning of this season, but wow, what a performance from Brendan Bussey. And what else can you say? One of the only best bits from this was actually seeing Jacques Martin be inducted into the Ring of Honor. A hugely commended move by the Sens, and something they just had to do for one of the all-time faces of this franchise when it comes to coaching. So congratulations, Jacques, the newest honoured member to the Ring of Honor. So you know what I was saying just before we spoke about Jacques Martin, about the Sens actually looking good against the Vegas Golden Knights? Well, they would come away with a 7-1 win. Totally out of the blue, Linus Ullmark was back on the bench backing up, and the Sens caught a lot of fans and scouts out by naming Mads Søgaard as the starter, which was a very brave call from the coaching staff. Fabian Zetterlund banked one in off of Aidan Hill for the Sens first in a physical opening period. Plenty of hits all over the ice, as even Jordan Spence got in on it all, sending a Golden Knight player into the Sens bench. Tyler Cleven would also lower the boom a fair few times, especially behind the net. My favourite thing on the night, though, by far had to be seeing Thomas Chabot making a claim to become a Canadian long jumper for the Olympics, as he attempted to save a too many men on the ice penalty. He literally vaulted the boards on the ice and literally threw himself off the ice over the boards. Unfortunately, it had already been called, and Ridley Gregg would actually be sent to the penalty box. But it was one of my favourite things on the night, despite a 7-1 win. The Sens would kill off a 5-on-3 early power play in the second period, which, to be fair, really energised the Sens. Dylan Cousins, Jordan Spence and Stephen Halliday then made it 4-0 for the Sens at the end of the second intermission. The bleeding didn't stop for the Golden Knights. Cousins and Halliday each added their second goals of the night. Noah Hannafin would then put through his own net. Nick Jensen would then add the 7th. Yes, Nick Jensen even got in on the scoring, guys. Massive shout out in this one to Stephen Halliday, who would get 3 points on the night with 2 goals and an assist. But sadly, his night would end with a sickening hit coming together with the bench stanchion, which would result in him leaving the game and looking very shaky. You were all hoping that Mads Søgaard totally killed those scouts or their scouting reports, that he would get a shutout, but it wasn't meant to be. Rasmus Andersson would score his first Vegas goal following his recent addition from the Calgary Flames. Hats off though to Søgaard, looked strong in the game, played really well, stalling rebounds and also looking commanding in that crease. So yeah, really good. Monstrous performances from Ridley Gregg, Thomas Chabot and Tim Stützle. Also, again, to say about Stephen Halliday, one of his best performances I've seen this season. He's really making a claim to step up next season when the Sens ultimately let David Perron leave. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the off-season when they let him walk, and we were all hoping for Stephen Halliday recovery. We then move on to the last game, and yes, we picked up another 2 points. 2 games that you would never expect to win. against the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. Well, the Sens came up big. They won in both of them. Really, really good performances again, which would see the Sens add 2 more points to the tally as they won 5-2 on the night. Linus Ullmark was backing up behind James Reimer, who made an .889 save percentage on 17 shots. The Sens didn't let up from their previous game as they looked solid going forward defensively, and they also looked disciplined with 0 penalty minutes secured on the night. Also thrown into the mix, the Avalanche record the fewest shots, 17 in a game. 17 shots with players like Nathan McKinnon. Absolutely crazy. They only recorded 17 shots. That was a new franchise record for them, and it also snapped a 12-game point streak for Nathan McKinnon. Ottawa opened the scoring early with Artem Zub, made a stretch pass to Nick Cousins, who beat Mackenzie Blackwood, but you couldn't give the Avalanche much of a sniff though. Nick Jensen slightly overskated a puck. Seconds later, it would end up in the Sens net, with former Sen Parker Kelly notching his equaliser for the Colorado Avalanche. But never fear, Ridley Gregg would reply immediately, literally immediately. On the clock, it was, literally barely, I think 12 seconds, something like that. It's something ridiculous. Chase a dumped puck from Tyler Clevin, and he would notch the goal. Nick Jensen would redeem himself on an assist for Claude Giroux's strike, put the Sens 3-1 up. Giroux would then go top shelf on Mackenzie Blackwood for his 10th goal of the season. Massive shout out to Jake Sanderson on the night, who got a last-ditch poke check on Kale McCarr's wrister, sending it into the netting. Had that one gone in, the Avalanche would have gotten some legs with them for the last 17 minutes. This being said, Valeri Nichushkin would make the score 3-2 shortly after that as he beat Reimer close in. Brady Tkachuk would then add a 4th for the Sens, and Tim Stützle would add another one to make it 5-2 on the night. Absolutely brilliant win for the boys to end off an absolutely crazy month for the Sens. So let's just touch base on some news, shall we, for the Sens? Obviously, the main one was going to be the goaltending. So on the 9th of January, rumours started to circulate about Linus Ullmark's leave of absence, and it was rumours. There was a fake X account which sent a story out, and it was horrible to read. Someone that was obviously off away from the team for mental health reasons, and there are some truly sick people in the world that come up with these sort of things and just attack people when they're at their lowest. Ullmark was I'm not even going to touch on what the post said because that gives it a voice. I'm just going to say I think every Sens fan literally stuck by Linus, and the Senators released an absolutely scathing post on all of their social media platforms. Our organisation was extremely disappointed to read the completely fabricated and false stories that are spreading around social media about our hockey club. Linus is away from the team for personal reasons, and he has the entire organisation's support. We ask that people respect his privacy, but clearly this request has not been heard by the lowest forms of trolls and sick people who scour the internet. We are disgusted that outside forces are attempting to disrupt our hockey club. This statement will put an end to ridiculous speculation that has spread online. So yeah, even the Sens took an absolutely steadfast stand on this, and they stonewalled it. And you know what? They came in for a lot of heat on this, for this strongly worded statement. But I completely agree, and I think I even said I totally agreed with this. People seem to forget that when this was out there and people were really going about this would have been dealt with. Linus didn't just wake up one morning and go, I'm going to tell the guys I don't want to come into work today. This would have been something that would have been rumbling on for a little while. Guys, I need to have a leave. I'm not right. I need to get myself right. The Sens would have had meetings with Linus to sign this off. It wouldn't have just been he woke up one morning and thought, I can't do this. Now, there was reports that he was having panic attacks during the Toronto Maple Leafs loss, which, he may well have been. It wasn't the best of performances, but poor Linus, God knows what he's been going through. We've all got support people around us nowadays. Even when you are a high-performance sportsman with a big-ticket contract, with that comes a lot of responsibility. You sign up to that contract. Yes, that money is amazing, but at the same time, you kiss goodbye to family. You kiss goodbye to birthdays, Christmases sometimes even. You can be traded at the drop of a hat. You have to suffer from absolute lowlifes online, creating and spreading these false stories about you. Your whole life is on display during that 15-year career that you have. And you know what? These famous sportsmen, they are people at the end of the day. They're going to make mistakes. Jesus, in my professional life, I make so many mistakes, but thankfully I can spot them and sort them out. before they even leave the office. But everyone makes mistakes. No one is perfect. And why should you have to explain yourself on an interview, which he would then go on to do on TSN with Claire Hannah? Claire Hannah, big shout out to Claire, how she kept it together during that interview with Linus. He felt like he was on the edge the whole time, but he had to come out and actually explain why he was on leave. It's just absolute sick in this day and age that people have to do this to people when they're struggling, kick someone while they're down, and it just shows the absolute scum that walk this earth sometimes. And I use that word not lightly. Yeah, I mean, when I read that, it was like thinking, I love Linus Ullmark. I'm so happy he's part of the Sens. But it actually made me think at one point, I'd say for about 30 seconds, I thought this could all be connected. This could be true. But then you think, actually, no, what the hell are you thinking? Look at the account. It's gone down. People are pouring hot water on it. It's like just, it is ridiculous. So like I said, this would have been completely understood by the Sens. They knew exactly why Linus Ullmark was taking a leave of absence, and he needed to sort himself out. His performance wasn't where he wanted it to be, so he took this leave of absence. And you know what? We would get Linus back before the Olympic break, and you know what? He looked pretty solid. And the team unity around him was shown. Everyone loved to have him back between the pipes, and it was just great to see him back with the club. So yeah, hopefully that puts an end to it. One of the reasons that I thought I'd actually do a little walk and some scenes around Portsmouth for you, just to sort of yeah, we needed a bit of fresh air, we needed a change of scenery. This team at the moment has struggled, and this month wasn't, let's be honest, wasn't the best, but at least we got some results in there that we weren't expecting to get, which was a complete surprise. So yeah, I mean, just to summarise that, Linus being back with the team is a great thing. He obviously needed some time to get his head straight, and I'm glad he managed to do that, and is now finally back with the Sens. I'm really, really happy to have him back. And he's also had the Olympic break now to have some time off. He didn't go with Team Sweden, but let's see what happens and as he comes back, because the Sens really, really need to climb those standings, and they need improved goaltending for sure. So other news also, we touched on it, James Reimer would also join the team, which was great to see, and Jacques Martin would also be added to the Ring of Honour for the Sens. So that caps off pretty much the Senators in January. It's been a video I've been dreading to record, but yes, had to record it obviously, because I try to do these videos every month. And yeah, it was a really, really mixed season. Mixed bag for the Sens, to be honest. And just before we finish this review video, guys, a plus for me this month was that I remembered to take a screen grab of the table. And yeah, as I said, there's a lot to improve on. In the Atlantic Division, the Sens saw themselves second bottom with only the Leafs below them. So to be fair, it's not a bad thing. But they ended with a game in hand as well on 57 points. And that would leave them 10 points out of a wild card spot. And yeah, all to play for in February, guys. So obviously there's a reduced schedule for the Sens during February. So that review video is going to be pretty short, to be honest. But the famous last words, to be honest, I seem to be able to stretch a video out pretty easily. The points leaders for the Sens on 55 are Tim Stutzler. Followed closely behind on 45 with Drake Batherson. So yeah, it's been some solid numbers from the boys already. Tim Stoops has been absolutely insane this season. I think this is probably one of my best seasons that I've seen him play with the Sens. So yeah, some great points from the Sens here, and let's hope that February brings better form for the Sens as we move on, not only to the Olympics, but we also head on to the trade deadline, which is soon to be coming in early March as well. Also, I believe in March they announced the Global Series games, so it'll be interesting to see where those are, because I was unable to attend at the last minute. I was due to go watch the second game in Stockholm, Nashville versus the Penguins. But yeah, I was hoping to see Crosby and stuff, but unfortunately family matter came up and I was unable to attend. I'm keen to get to this year's one, which I hope to be announced in March, so we'll see what happens there. But yes, guys, if you stuck with me this whole video, it's probably going to be my longest review for the Sens. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and also walk with me a little bit, so let me know how you found that. Yeah, just nice to get some video footage on here and get out for a walk whilst we try and clear our heads, eh? But anyway, on to February, guys. Please feel free to comment, rate and subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching.